Whenever I posted my video of painting the PSA Saber, somebody in the comments wanted to know what I taped off on the rifle and why. Instead of posting a video explaining what I taped off after the rifle is already painted, I do plan on painting this Mark 18 build that I have right here. I'll make a completely different video as I paint this rifle, so you guys can look forward to that. But for now, we'll just go ahead and tape this rifle up and I'll explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. The first thing I'm going to tape up is this muzzle device. This is a Surefire 3-prong muzzle device. The reason you want to tape something like this up is because you don't want any sort of gunk or debris getting inside of the locking collar on your suppressor. Another reason you want to tape up your muzzle device is to prevent gunk from getting inside of your barrel. If you have something like an A2 birdcage, it's not an actual suppressor host, what you can do instead of taping it off, you can just take like a foam earplug. These things are like 25 cents. Kind of shove it inside the barrel. On the side of this EOTech here, you can see the windage and elevation turrets. They're exposed, and so is the writing on them. So I'm going to put a piece of tape inside of this elevation turret right here and the windage, and I'm going to tape off this writing right here. That way, whenever I go to adjust my optic in the future, it's not painted and I'm not guessing what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do for that is just take a decent sized piece of masking tape, shove it inside of the hole like that. Make sure it's nice and flat inside of here like that. Just put a decent amount of pressure on it. Then after that, I'm just going to start to tear away this outside of this masking tape right here, and I'm going to push it flat on the writing on the EOTech. Once you're done, you should end up with something that looks like this. I didn't get super precise with it because I plan on training with this rifle a lot. Inevitably, the paint job I put on here is going to chip and wear, and then inevitably something on the EOTech is going to chip and wear as well. Now, just repeat the same thing to the elevation turret. That looks pretty good to me. Just make sure everything on the outside, on the inside is nice and flat. That way you get a nice seal on it. Don't forget to seal off the glass on your optic. So just take a piece of masking tape like this. Make sure it's nice and tight. Create a nice seal on it. Then, like I said, just tear off the excess. The front of the EOTech is taped off. Just do the exact same thing to the back side. The back side's looking good. I have a magnifier on here, so I'm going to tape off the front and back lens of the magnifier. Back of the magnifier is good. Let's do the front part now. Front of the magnifier is good. Let's tape off this windage and elevation turret now. Windage and elevation on the EOTech magnifier are good. Let's move on to the trigger. Whenever it comes to the trigger, I just take a piece of masking tape like this. I get it nice and tight around the top of the trigger. It might take a little bit of finesse. Looks like I missed the very tip of the trigger right there. What I'm gonna do for the piece I missed, I'm just gonna take like a little square like that. I'm going to lay it flat on that piece that's exposed. For the magwell, I don't ever really tape this off. I usually just put a magazine inside of it. Just makes my life a little bit easier, so I don't have to worry about taping off this large surface area. Just put a mag in it and you'll have a mag that matches the gun you paint. The next thing on the lower I usually tape off is the forward assist. It's not really necessary, to be honest with you, but I always do it just because. On my brace right here, as you can see, I have 2 QD points for slings. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a piece of masking tape, kind of ball it up like that if it wouldn't stick to my finger, kind of push it in the QD mount. Make sure it's nice and tight in there. This part also isn't necessary, but I also always do it. I usually tape off the back of the buttstock and a little bit on the edge right there, then just tear off the excess. That's how you tape off a rifle to get it ready to be painted. Don't forget to degrease your rifle before you actually put the paint on it. Other than that, let me know what kind of color scheme you want to see me paint this Mark 18 build in the comments.